Really, I went to law school because my parents couldn't afford to give me a more expensive post-graduation or post-grad education in India. It was the least expensive. I really wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a surgeon, but medical school is really expensive. And in India, there was no such thing back then as student loans, or your parents paid for college education, post-grad. My parents couldn't afford it. Now, they did want me to get a post-grad because education for them, as with many, many, many parents, is very crucial. Intellectual advancement and material advancement. So they did want me to go, but they couldn't afford to put me in medical school. So I went to law. Now, my parents were very happy with the law school because apparently my grandpa, my father's father, used to be a municipal court judge. So I was the first grandchild, let alone female grandchild, to have sort of followed his footsteps and became a lawyer. So they were very proud of it.
Well, I didn't really. My mother kind of made that decision for me. My mother was Japanese, and she preached to me in two languages, Japanese and English, from a very early age. You were going to be either a doctor or a lawyer, and it was that simple. My decision to make a career in the law, however, did not materialize until I tried my first case in the Marine Corps as a defense counsel. I didn't particularly enjoy law school. I didn't particularly enjoy the prospect of being a lawyer. The reason why I joined the Marines was because I wanted first and foremost to be a military officer. But I happened to have the military occupational specialty of a judge advocate, and so I said, you know what, I will try it. In the course of that first trial, it suddenly all made sense to me. And I realized at that moment that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a trial lawyer. So the impetus was for my mother, but it crystallized when I was trying my first case in the Marine Corps as a young judge advocate.
My boss, who's now a federal district court judge, when I was at the Division of Law, had urged me to apply to apply for a bankruptcy judge position, and that had opened up in Jersey, in the District of New Jersey. I like to think that he's very impressed with my, intellectual ability, my knowledge, my personality, my work ethic. But I think he was. But he was also very, very big on pushing and motivating minorities to obtain something, a little more. Do it. You're qualified to do it. Don't let it hold you back. You don't get a lot of opportunities, and he was always pushing the minorities to do that. And he said, you should do this because you can. And I was comfortable when I went for the interview representing that I would be qualified to be a judge, not only because of my education, my work experience, my knowledge of bankruptcy law, but also because I felt, in my opinion, I had the objectivity that you need to be a judge. I didn't get the job, but I got the interview, and then the next available position was the tax court judge. And the tax court judge, who was my reference for the bankruptcy judge, told me he was retiring, and he said, why don't you apply,
When I was a lawyer with Bressler, Amy, and Ross, which is the firm I joined after my active duty tour with the Marines, I decided, primarily for marketing reasons, to join the Asian Pacific American Lawyers Association of New Jersey. And I believe I was already a partner or very close to becoming a partner when I joined. And it just so happened that one day, I was asked by someone, I don't remember who, in Apollo, if I wanted to be considered for a judgeship. And honestly, the thought had never occurred to me before that person asked me that question. I had a discussion with someone about whether I should pursue that route. And the advice I got, which was very sensible, was you never know when the opportunity will next present itself. And if you don't grasp the brass ring when you have the chance, you may never get it again. And fortunately, I took that advice, and I'm very happy I took that advice.
Pursuing my legal career was pretty much my own in terms of, legal as in being a lawyer, and then becoming a judge. Really, the one was my boss, who is now the federal district court judge, and the tax court judge who retired. He also said, that he gave me the confidence that I could do what he was doing because I admired him a lot. And he said, he felt that I would qualify, and that gave me a lot of confidence.
I received some very favorable feedback from the judge that presided over that first trial. And I thought, if he thought I did a credible job, maybe there's something to this. I mean, I genuinely felt for the very first time after that trial that I was destined to do that. And perhaps it was a combination of the intellectual challenge, the stimulation of getting up there and defending somebody in open court. I dabbled in the theater arts for a while, and perhaps that played a part of it. But I think it was just the circumstances of that first trial, that suddenly all the training, all the schooling that I had, it suddenly made sense. When you apply practically the things that are theoretically taught to you, I think you take them in a slightly different vein. And I think that was a very cathartic moment for me.
I was told, and this was apparently the popular notion, that you need a lot of political support. You need the, senator support, a politician support. But as the Deputy Attorney General, you're not allowed to get involved in politics. You're not allowed to get involved in political parties, political contributions. So basically, when I had applied for the judge, everybody told me, well, it's an exercise in futility because you have no political support. So I didn't really expect anything, but happily turned out to be not true. But at least I didn't have any political support, but other than the process that when you apply, the senators want to get to know you, see what you are, what you bring to the bench. But prior to that, I had nothing, and I still became judge. So I saw that as an obstacle because I didn't have any political involvement at all. But it turned out that it was not an obstacle because it just worked out.
Mostly myself, but I can't say that after that first trial that I had any second thoughts about the career path that I chose. I knew at that point that my destiny, wherever it's going to take me, was in the law as a trial lawyer.
I don't see myself as a leader. I don't see myself as some kind of a public leader. But I do see myself as a role model. And to my daughter, number one. And she had told me this when she was in, I don't know, 7th grade or something. And I will say this once and only once, and don't ever ask me to repeat it. When I grow up, I want to be like you. I mean, to me, that was the ultimate flattery. I do see myself as role model because a lot of women, young lawyers, come up to me and say, what does it have to be, or what does it take to be a judge? When I became judge, I got comments such as, if you can make it, then there's hope. Now, I took that as a compliment. You could take it either way. But I took that as a compliment that if they identify themselves with me in terms of being hardworking, have excellent work ethic, you really know what they're doing, so that they could win something as a public office based on their merits alone.
I do consider myself a role model for my children. And the things that I want my children to emulate in me have nothing whatsoever to do with what I'm doing here. I suppose in some ways they're similar. You want to be patient, you want to be fair, and you want to be just in your decisions. And the fiercest advocates that have appeared before me have been my children. So I think all judges, frankly, should view themselves as role models in some capacity because the persons that you are trying to present yourself to are members of the public that come to our courts every day looking for justice. And I think most people have a vision of a judge as being someone who is going to be attentive, who is going to be fair, who is going to be patient, and most importantly, we're going to listen to them, really listen, as opposed to giving them short shrift. And those are the things that I try to bring to my role as a judge every single day. I take them seriously. I do them to the best of my ability. But whether or not somebody should emulate me as a role model is something I leave to others to decide.